This class is brought to you by the LA Care and Blue Shield Promise Community Resource Centers. The centers are a place to help you be active, healthy, and informed. We hope you enjoy this virtual class.
Today we will be making a delicious fruit salad, and this class is intended for parents to watch with their children. It's a recipe that is nice because it can engage children in healthy cooking. And we're actually also going to be talking about a subject that also has to do with children. So if you are a parent watching this video, I do encourage you to bring your children and have them watch along with you. What we're going to be talking about first is eating from all the different colors of the rainbow. We're then going to go into an activity where we're going to learn how to eat with our hands. No, it doesn't mean we're going to be eating physically with our hands, but as you can see here that I have a hand on this board, we're going to learn how to use our hand to measure our portions of what we should be eating. And lastly, then we will be making our salad. And again, I encourage you to bring along your children so that they can enjoy this experience with you. So let's go ahead and get started with our conversation first about eating the rainbow. Now, what does that mean, eating the rainbow? Well, as we know, the rainbow has all of the colors, right? And eating from the rainbow basically means that when we sit down to eat, what we want to see in our plates is all of the colors of the rainbow. And so we are talking about colors like reds, where we have here some raspberries. We have here an apple. We are talking about the color orange. We have here an orange. We're talking about the color yellow. We even have blues. And then there are other colors that we don't have here, but are also part of the rainbow, such as greens. So why is it important to eat the rainbow? Well, it's important to eat the rainbow because the more colors that we eat, the greater the amount of vitamins and minerals that we are going to be receiving from our foods. Vitamins and minerals are important because they help us to fight off diseases. For example, we want to talk about the color red. Red foods, such as apples, raspberries, they help keep our hearts healthy. Foods like apples, they have the skin, okay? And when we eat our fruits with the skin and we eat the fruits versus the juice, or just the juice, I should say, we get something that is called fiber. So what does fiber do? Well, fiber helps us fight off a lot of diseases. It helps us fight off things such as cancer. It helps people, if they have diabetes, it helps to regulate their blood sugar levels. And it also helps, primarily for what fiber is known, it helps to keep our digestive systems healthy. And so when we eat a lot of the red foods, they're going to help us with our digestion. They're going to help us with diabetes. They're also going to help us, as we mentioned, keep our hearts healthy. Because when they help to keep our digestive system healthy. That means that it helps us to remove all of the things that we don't need in our bodies. And in that way, it helps to protect our hearts. Orange foods, such as you see here, we have an orange. These are going to have a lot of vitamin C. And we know that vitamin C, it helps us to fight off colds. It helps us to fight off viruses. So it's always important for us to get fruits into our diet. Eat from the rainbow. We also have yellow foods. And yellow foods, we know, are also full of antioxidants. And antioxidants help us to fight off free radicals that in themselves, they can actually damage our cells. Yellow foods also help to keep our hearts healthy. We don't have any green foods here, but we know there's tons of green foods, right? There's a lot of different things like lettuce, kale, spinach, there's different herbs like cilantro, and then there's also things like broccoli, right? Now, even though we don't have green foods here, we definitely want to make sure that we get them into our diets, get them into our plates. Green foods are actually important for our entire bodies. So they're going to help us with things as small as our nails and things as big as our eyesight. They're going to help us to see better. They're going to help us also to keep our bones and our teeth healthy. And they're also going to help us fight cancer. And lastly, we have the blue and the purple. So here we have some blueberries. These are really important also to help us fight diseases such as cancer, but these are also good for our memories. Now, the one other color that we don't have here is white. And white foods, for example, cauliflower, those are also really important for our hearts and our lungs and our blood vessels. And they also can help us lower our cholesterol levels. Things like cauliflower are also really good for our bellies. That's one of the ways that it helps us to control our cholesterol. Now, fruits can come in many different forms. We have fresh, and here we also have fruits that have been dried. Now, when they are in the dry form, it's important that we eat them in moderation. It's also important that we make sure that they don't have anything added. A lot of times we might find that they have sugar added, so we have to make sure that we read the labels to see that it doesn't have any sugar added. But even so, because it is dry, it's easy to overeat the dry fruit. So we have to make sure that when we eat dry fruits, we do that in moderation. Now, let's talk about our portions. Let's go into our activity today with our hand that we have on the board. So what does it mean to eat with our hands? Eat with our hands basically means that we can use the hand of a child. This is a child in particular, but I think adults could probably do this too. But in the child, we can use our hands to measure our portions. So this is a fun way to learn what a portion should be, because a lot of times it's been noted that some parents tend to overfeed their children. Kind of forget that children need to eat smaller portions. And so a lot of times parents might end up feeding children the portions that are similar or close to the adult portions. So let's talk about portions. What would be appropriate for a child? So let's first start with the fist. Okay. Now, if your children are watching with you, have them go along with this activity and find the portions for themselves, what it means to them. Okay. So if we make a fist, what we see here, right? Let's assume that I had a plate. Okay. So my fist would be the size of my grains or my pastas. So if I was to serve myself some pasta, I would want my pasta to be about the size of my fist. So that there would be grain or pasta. So I'm going to write it on the board. So at the end, you can have all of this information here, and then you can remember it for yourself. So a small fist would be grains and pasta. Now let's move on to things like peanut butter or salad dressings, particularly peanut butter, almond butter, any kind of butter, right? That is a nut butter. Those are very popular with children. So it's important to understand what a portion is of any of these kinds of nut butters. And then also with the salad dressings. Children love, for example, chicken tenders with ranch, or even celery sticks with ranch. So what is a portion, or what is a serving of a salad dressing? In that case, we would look at the child's thumb, okay? So now we are going over here to the thumb. And what we're looking for here, the portion size would be from the first joint to the tip, okay? So that about there, if I was to put this in a spoon, that would be about a portion of peanut butter or salad dressing. So I'm going to write on here, there's my fist. Now I'm going to write on here thumb. Now we're talking about peanut butter or salad dressing. Now, if we wanted to talk about butter or mayo, we go from the thumb to the finger. And again, it's from the tip of the finger to the first joint. So now butter or mayo, again, the finger, not the thumb, it's from the tip to the first joint. So if you notice, that's going to be a little bit less than the peanut butter or the salad dressing. Okay. So now we go to the fingertip here, fingertip. And now we're talking about butter or mayonnaise. Cheese. Cheese is another popular food with children. I myself also love cheese. So this is really important to know, right? If I want to know what a portion, a serving of cheese should be, then I'm going to look at 2 fingers. Any 2 fingers will do. And then what I'm going to look at is just basically the size of the 2 fingers. So maybe like there, okay? Just look at the 2 fingers together. That there would be a serving of cheese. So 2 fingers, we're looking here. Obviously the fingers would be together, okay? 2 fingers. Now we are talking about cheese. For nuts, it would be a small handful. So you put your 1 handful, right? That's going to be the nuts, as well as berries and fruits. So for berries and fruits, it's just a handful. Handful. Nuts, berries, and other fruits. If we're talking about meat and fish, it's going to be the palm size. So now here we have meat and fish. And if we're talking lastly about ice cream, pretzels, and snacks, then there we're going to be talking about just one what would fit into 1 cupped hand. So again, kind of like the handful. The handful might be more like this, right? The one that we talked about, the handful with the nuts, berries, and the fruits. It might be more like this, okay, the handful. And the ice cream, pretzels, and snacks would be more of a cupped hand. So imagine what little ball of ice cream that you could fit into the hand. That would be a serving, okay? As well as the pretzels and the snacks. Again, foods that are also popular with children, right? Pretzels, snacks, ice cream. But we definitely want to make sure that they eat those in moderation. So again, just to clarify, the handful with the nuts and the berries and the fruits would be more of this, a handful, where the snacks and the ice cream would be more of the cupped hand. And so that's how we can then teach children to eat with their hands. So again, here we have the different ways to do it. Small fist, thumb, handful, 2 fingers, fingertip, the palm, and the cupped hand. Okay, so let's go ahead now and move on to our recipe. As I mentioned, we are going to be preparing a delicious fruit salad today. Now, the wonderful thing about fruit salads is that you can basically add anything that you want to add to the fruit salad. We are going to be adding a little bit of everything that we have here today because, again, what we're trying to do is we are trying to eat the rainbow. And that's going to be our goal. Eat the rainbow, if it's possible, right? Every meal. If not, at least every day. We want to eat the rainbow every day. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, let me mention to you the ingredients that we're going to be using. We have the apple. I'm going to be using an apple today for our fruit salad. An orange. We have raspberries, bananas or banana, blueberries, just a few raisins. We have dry coconut or shredded coconut. It's really important when you're going to buy coconut to make sure that you get the one that says unsweetened. I know kids love coconut, especially when it's sweetened, but this we're just going to add it to our salad just a little bit, just for taste and texture. So we want to make sure that we get unsweetened because we don't want to add any extra sugar. And the last thing that we're going to be adding to our salad is going to be a little bit of Greek yogurt. And the reason we're going to add a little bit of Greek yogurt is just kind of to help us incorporate everything together, but also because we want to add just a little bit of protein. This is going to give it that protein to help the children feel a little bit more satisfied with their salad when they eat it, right? And it's also important to add protein to any meal, really, because protein is what helps us to just have strong bodies, have a lot of energy, rebuild our bodies, right? Maintain them with their health. So we're going to be adding just a little bit of yogurt. Now, if your children or anyone in your family is not tolerant of lactose, then definitely this is something that you don't want to add. You don't have to. We're just putting it into our salad because it's a good thing to have. It's a good option. Okay, so I'm going to first move everything out of the way so you can see how I'm going to prepare my salad. Now, this is going to be also important in case you're going to have children helping out, because we want to make sure that whatever they do, that it's safe. Okay, what I'm going to be using today, I have a knife, I have my spoon to mix my salad with, and then I have these fun little gadgets as well. These are shredders, and this is a cheese shredder, and then this is a different kind of shredder. It stores itself in the container here, and then you just pull it out and it snaps into place. These are fun. These are optional, but they're kind of fun for children to use. This we can use, for example, with our apple. We just shred it into our salad rather than chop it up. And if we don't want to use this one, or we don't have one like that, we can also use this one, which is a cheese shredder. Again, it's just to help us get different textures into our salads, make it more fun for children, but certainly it's optional. It's not something that has to be used. This one I like because you press the button and then you just put it away. And so as you're looking for things, if you have this around, you reduce the risk of cutting yourself, right? See this one here? It also has a protective cover to help keep people from hurting themselves with this one too, okay? All right. Now, another fun thing that I like to do with children is once we have our salad all prepared, it's the way that we serve our salad. So one of the fun ways that we have found that children really enjoy their salad is by serving their salad on an ice cream cone. Children get really, really excited about this. So once we're done preparing our salad, we're going to go ahead and serve it in an ice cream cone so you can see what that looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and grab one of my bowls, and I'm going to start cutting my fruit to put it into my salad. So the first thing is the apple. Now, I don't have an apple core, but if you do, you can just press that down the center. It removes all the center of the apple. Then you're done, right? You've got your apple. You don't need to be cutting all around the center to make sure you don't get the seeds. I don't have that, so I'm going to be cutting all around. I just want to come as close as possible to the center. Okay, just cutting all the way around. If I get any seeds, then I can just remove them. It's not a problem. Get as much as my apple as possible. Now, you will notice too that I'm only using a little bit of each fruit. I'm only making this salad for, say, 3 or 4 people. Just a little bit, right? Just like a dessert. But if you wanted to make more salad, you're more than welcome to add more bananas, more oranges, more apples. So that's really up to you. And as well, you are more than welcome to add or remove any of the fruits that you prefer or that you choose. So these pieces here, so once I remove them from all around the apple, I'm going to go ahead and cut them in half this way so that they're not so thick. Then from there, I can make sort of like matchsticks. Again, trying to make it so that once it's ready and children eat their salad, it's not so big, right? That they can't fit into their mouth. And also so that if it's small pieces, right? Our fruit is cut into small pieces, then that way we're able to get all kinds of different fruits in one bite. That's what we want to taste. We want to taste all of the different fruits, okay? If children are helping you cut the apples, like a butter knife will work too. They definitely don't need to use a sharp knife. With the apple, I've seen it work fairly well. And then once the apple is ready to be added into the bowl, they can just, I will show you right now actually how they can do this. where they just kind of go to the edge of their cutting board. Okay, you can bring the bowl, put it down here, and then just bring the fruit down into the bowl. That's probably the easiest way to do it, to prevent the fruit from falling to the floor. Now again, apples are really, really healthy. They have a lot of fiber, so this is a good food to add to the diet. And also important when we're cutting our fruit, because we are bringing our hands very close to our knife, we want to make sure that we're very careful. We keep our eyes on what we're doing, right? Tips for the children. Try to move the fingers away as much as possible while still maintaining control to make sure that we don't cut ourselves, right? Reduce the risk of injury. Okay, I'm going to put this one on its side, on its flat side, and then cut it in half that way. And then the opposite way, making sort of matchsticks. And then cutting it into small squares. We can also just collect the fruit on our cutting board if it's big enough. And then once we're done cutting up all of the fruit, then we just put it all into our bowl at once. Now, sometimes too, kids might not like different kinds of apples, the Fuji apple, the red apple. If you want to use the green apple, that's perfectly fine. You can use, again, whatever kind of fruit you want. One of the things that we are not adding to our fruit salad is honey. And the reason for that is just because we're going to be adding banana, which is sweet in and of itself. So we don't need to add that extra sweetness, right? The extra honey. But if it's also an ingredient that if you wanted to, you could use. Some of our fruits don't need to be cut. So for example, the blueberries, they're small enough, but let's say you had a couple of them that perhaps you felt were a little bit too big. You can definitely just cut them in half and put them that way into your bowl. And again, you can use the amount that you prefer. Some of these are small enough, so we just put them into our bowl. Also important to remember is to wash your fruit, okay? Now, there's a lot of different types of cleaners out there that are made especially for fruits and vegetables. If you can, try to use one of those. If maybe you have a different way of doing it at home. I've heard people say, they wash their fruits with vinegar. There are people that wash their fruits with water and salt. Whatever way you have that works for you is fine, but just make sure that you wash or rinse your fruit carefully. Definitely, I think it's important to use some sort of cleaner rather than just run it under water. Helps us to get it a little bit cleaner that way. So now I'm going to the raspberries. And when we're washing these types of fruits, for example, the raspberries, okay? These can, if you hit them with water that's too hard, the water comes down on them too hard, they can essentially look like they disintegrate. So the way that I did it, just a tip, okay? You put it into a strainer, and then the strainer with the fruit, you put that into a bowl of soapy water or water with vinegar or whatever is your method of cleaning your fruit. And that way, once you've left it in there for sufficient time to get clean, then all you have to do is gently run clean water through it so that it removes any residue from your cleaner, okay? So in a strainer, put that into water, submerge that into water with your vegetable cleaner, whatever that would be, and then just bring it up and rinse once it's ready. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the orange. Now let's say that your child is gonna be helping you cut the oranges, okay? So oranges tend to roll. And so that can be a little bit dangerous, right? Because if you have a child, especially if they have an actual knife, if they try to cut into the orange, it can start rolling away and it can be a little bit dangerous. So one of the ways that we can keep the orange from rolling away we can cut the two ends off. Okay, so now that created a wider base, and now our orange can actually sit on our cutting board. So what we are going to do now, we're just going to run the knife down the sides. And just remove all of the peel from the orange. And then we can go ahead and chop it into smaller pieces. Okay. We want to remove as much of the peel and the rind as we can without removing too much of the fruit, right? Like so. Then once we're left with our orange, then we can go ahead and cut it into small pieces. And use the board. Some of us, I know, right, we can do it on our hand, but use the board. Teach children to use the boards because that's obviously going to be a lot safer. Then we can go ahead and cut into our orange and start removing some of the seeds. Cut it into small pieces. Okay. And the orange tends to be a bit sweet too. So that's another reason why if you wanted to not add honey or other kind of sweetener, that would be okay. There's also age limits, I believe. There's a certain age at which children, it's not recommended that parents give them or feed them honey. So if you do have a small child, 2 years old, 3 years old, and you wanted to feed them honey, please make sure that you talk to your doctor or the child's doctor to make sure that that's okay. Okay, so there is our orange. As you can see, it has a lot of juice, so it's pretty good orange. It's going to give it a lot. It's going to give our salad, our fruit salad, a lot of flavor. Okay, so let me show you. I'm going to grab all of that juice. Let me show you what our fruit salad looks like so far. So you see here, we have our oranges, we have our apples, we have our raspberries, and our blueberries. Now, one of the things that also happens is once we cut into an apple, the apples actually start oxidizing, right? Now they're cut, now they're getting oxygen. And so the apples can start turning a little bit darker, right? A little bit they start getting like a little bit brown. So, and that's okay. It's going to happen because again, they've now been exposed. The acid in the orange juice is actually going to help to prevent that a little bit. But if it does start turning brown, that's okay. It happens because again, it has now been exposed to the oxygen. Now, as I mentioned earlier, any type of dry fruit, we just want to put very little of it. So the raisins are just really going to be, again, just for a little bit of a sweet kick. It's not really going to be one of the primary ingredients that I add into my salad. So I'm going to do just a small handful, right? As we saw here, the handful with the berries and the fruits and the nuts, just a few of the raisins to give it flavor. So let me clean off my work area here so we can continue. The next ingredient that we are going to add to our fruit salad is our unsweetened coconut. So again, when you shop for your coconut, on the packet it will say unsweetened, and that means that sugar wasn't added to the coconut. So that's going to be important. Now coconut, it does tend to be high in fat. So we want to make sure that we just add it just again for crunch, a little bit for just a flavor. So we're just going to add a tablespoonful to our whole salad, just like so. Okay. Again, you just want to add a little bit more flavor. It's not going to be one of our main ingredients, but kids tend to love it. So it's a good thing to add to our salad. Now, a banana. most children love bananas, right? And we like them too because they tend to be very sweet. They are also, as we mentioned earlier, very high in different vitamins and minerals, so it's a good thing to add to our diet. We're going to cut off the two ends. Then I'm going to go ahead and just run my knife down the length of the banana. That opens it up. Then I can go ahead and remove the peel. There it is. Very easy, very simple. We probably do this part for the children and then just let them slice the banana however they would like to slice it. I'm just going to make little circles with it. Simple. And then we're going to be adding this to the fruit salad. Cut it into little circles like so. It's probably one of the easiest ways, especially if kids are going to be helping cut the banana. Okay. And then as we mentioned earlier, bring the bowl, put it over here on the side, and then just scoop the bananas right into the bowl. We're almost done with our fruit salad. We're going to be adding just our final ingredient. And again, this is just to help us incorporate everything. If we wanted to, we could actually stop here and our fruit salad would be ready. We would just need to take our spoon and then mix all of our fruits together. Another ingredient that people really enjoy adding to fruit salads is nuts. And this is something that you can add as well if you wanted to. Gives it a crunch, and that also gives it protein. So if instead of yogurt, you wanted to add nuts, that would be perfectly fine. So that's what our fruit salad would look like if we stopped at this point. Pretty good, right? There's our fruit salad there. But I'm just going to add just a 1/4 cup of yogurt, plain yogurt, just to give it another layer of flavor, okay? And that's one of the things too that I believe can help children enjoy their foods, especially things that are healthy. The more layers of flavor that you can add to food, the better it is, because it just, once you incorporate all the flavors in your mouth, right? You're biting into your food, you're chewing, you're tasting all the flavors, the textures. It's the way to make food a lot more flavorful, okay? So we're going to be adding then our yogurt. It's going to give it a little bit of an acidic punch, but it has enough of the sweet fruit, so it should still be sweet. But again, if by any means, if you need to add honey, you are more than welcome to do so. So we just added a little bit of our yogurt. So now I'm just going to finish mixing everything. I only added a 1/4 cup. You can do half, you can do a full cup, whatever you choose. And there we have our fruit salad, okay? So I am going to show you now the 2 ways that we can serve our fruit salad, okay? Our first option would obviously be on a plate. Here we have our plate with our fork. We just put a little bit of salad in the plate and it's good to go. Also, if you wanted to add things like nuts, you also have the option of not adding it into the salad, right? But maybe putting it on the side, and then whoever decides that they want nuts in their salad, then they can go ahead and just grab their portion. So if I was to serve it, it would just be like this. See? Pretty good, right? It looks pretty good. Okay, so that would be on the plate. The fun way that I like to serve it, and kids just get very excited about this, is on an ice cream cone, okay? Or serve it in an ice cream cone. So I have my ice cream cone here. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just basically going to fill it up with the fruit, okay? So like this. If you have chocolate chips, you can even add one on top of here just for fun. That also tends to get children excited. Like this. And it's ready. Okay, so there's two ways to serve your fruit salad. The regular way on a plate or creative way in an ice cream cone. Let's review what we learned today. We first started talking about eating the rainbow. We discussed what eating the rainbow means, and basically what we want is we want to make sure that when we eat our day's worth of food, that we eat from all colors of the rainbow. We talked about red foods, we talked about blue foods, we talked about orange, yellow, all the different colors. One of the colors that we didn't have here today was green, but we talked about how important it is to eat different kinds of green foods, such as lettuces and broccoli. We also talked about the white foods that are also not here, and with white, we're talking about foods such as cauliflower. We mentioned how important cauliflower is, as well as a lot of these other fruits, in keeping our health, the health of our bellies, right? And so it's important that we eat of all the colors of the rainbow on a daily basis. We then moved on to talk about the hand, eating with our hands, not physically or literally eating with our hands, but eating with our hands in regards to using our hand to determine what a portion is. We first started with talking about the fist. The small fist would be for the grains in the pasta. We talked about peanut butter and salad dressing being the appropriate amount for a serving, being from the first joint of our thumb to the end of our thumb. Okay. We talked about cheese being 2 fingers worth. That's a portion there. And then we talked about our small handful, right, being the nuts and the berries and the fruits. And we talked about veggies also being the fist, right? So the fist, where is our fist? Grains, pasta, and veggies. We actually hadn't mentioned veggies, so it's a good thing that we're reviewing right now because we hadn't mentioned veggies. So meat or fish, we're talking about the palm size. Okay, and then the foods that we enjoy, but we want to enjoy every so often, not too often, would be things like snacks, like pretzels, the baked goods, or ice cream, where we're talking about a cupped hand. So that there would be about a portion that of the ice cream, pretzels, and snacks. We then went ahead and made our salad, using all of the colors of the rainbow, or the majority of the colors of the rainbow. We combined all of our fruits, added a little bit of yogurt to bring it all together, put it into our bowl, and mixed it all together, okay? It's important if we're going to be, if the children are going to be helping us to make our foods, that we help them, right, understand the proper way to use things like a spoon, and how to combine all of the ingredients. A lot of times children like to grab the spoon like so, or like this, which is fine, except sometimes it makes it a little bit harder to control, right? And so what we want them to do is to get a good hold of the spoon, get a good grip like this. With their other hand, they can hold onto the bowl. And then as they are mixing the fruit, they can turn the bowl. And that helps with mixing the fruit as well. It makes it easier rather than them trying to come all around, right? Grab all of the fruit, try to turn it around, and sometimes ends up actually spilling. So we want to help them to understand how to hold their tools correctly, and that way they can then mix their fruits. Once our salad was ready, then we went ahead and served it in 2 different ways. We served it on the plate, which would be the traditional way, let's call it that. And then we served it in a creative way, which would be in an ice cream cone or an ice cream cup. Children tend to love this because it reminds them of the ice cream. Even though they're not eating the ice cream, they just get very excited about the ice cream cone. And so I encourage you, if this is something that you might be challenged with as a parent, where children just don't want to eat their fruits, this is maybe a technique that you can try, and perhaps it might get children more excited about eating their fruits. So this is what I had for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. We look forward to seeing you virtually again next week and at one of our resource centers as soon as we can. Until then, stay active, healthy, and informed.